Yeah, response video to a DerivedEnergy video. I just noticed it, actually. So it was a response video to my argument about objective morality. That was a response to one of his claims in one of his, whatever, 10 something or others videos or something. But anyway, so we're still arguing this idea of what is real. You know, matter's real. Okay, we can say a piece of wood is real. I'm arguing that just as real as a piece of wood is the fact that I'm conscious. It's a fact. It's a phenomenon taking place. It has real arrangement properties, just like a piece of wood has real arrangement properties. When my brain's in a certain state, it's like wood that has a certain humidity, and then the wood, when it doesn't have humidity, is in another state. And that my brain manifests properties based on the state of the neurology. And those properties are: I'm sensate, I feel. I have a sensation of that we can put in these categories of good, bad, repulsive, attractive, positive, negative. Broad categories, but categories, and they're easily distinguished one from the other. The difference between the two states is glaringly obvious. And I've personally experienced them, so I don't think there's much point in you telling me they don't exist, because I've experienced them. So, anyway, let's play with this nonsense. So, he does these stupid text videos, which are just goddamn hate text videos with music on them, and it's just such a waste of time. And why not just put the text in the description? Then I don't have to fuck with the fucking video. I can just read the stupid text. Please. Alright, imagine, if you would, a universe with no anti-natalist in it, embedded within it. That's sort of redundant. Anti-natalist within it. Let's just ignore that part. So, I mean, if you're going to bother doing a scripted text video, probably be a good idea to, not make it literally broken. But anyway, doesn't matter. So let's instead, since you're going to annihilate all value and all value equations, and again, I've already explained this morality world. I have no use for this word at all. So we're talking about objective ethics or objective value. And in terms of objective, we're basically talking about absolute as the other. Objective basically equals absolute in terms of when you're talking about a truth statement. Anyway, so imagine, if you were, a universe with no abolitionists in it, no women against drunk drivers in it, no people against homicidal murder, no people against wife beating. Okay, let's imagine that universe. Yeah, okay, it sucks. So I'm going to jump ahead, hopefully. Yeah, I have to play it to get it to switch. Alright, perhaps intelligence never managed to evolve or mutate to the requisite threshold needed for self-reflective beings to question the wisdom of perpetuating their species. So you're saying that, so nothing ever evolved to the point where it could figure out that, beating your wife is bullshit, or raping is bullshit, or any other thing we figured out that is just a waste of suffering is bullshit. So they didn't figure out that wasting suffering is bullshit, because they were nihilist assholes like you who, couldn't get a clue. Is that it? I mean, really. Whatever. I mean, could you get to the real argument sometime soon? Alright, next point. Here we go. My question is this. In such a universe, would antinatalism have any ontological foundation? Who cares? And I guess I would argue that, of course, it would, through the Benatar asymmetry. It's made obvious. I mean, he just reduces it to the basic math. And I think I reduce it even further, in the sense that we know what we are. We're just need machines. We create need. And that need is based on this concept of our hurtability, the fact that you can plainly hurt us, harm us, in a way that matters. It doesn't matter if you go out and kick a rock. you know, I know that personally too. The rock doesn't complain. You get hurt. Anyway, let's see if there's something else here that means something. Okay, here we go. I would argue that anti-natalism is merely a belief system. Okay, now a belief system is saying what? Alright, a belief system like the system you use to decide what your favorite color is. What kind of clothes you think are stylish. What kind of wallet you like to carry in your pocket. That kind of belief system. Is that all anti-natalism is? It's just some sort of bullshit, made up cracky stuff that just popped into your head one day. You said, oh, I kind of don't like babies, therefore I'll be an anti-natalist. It doesn't have any, it doesn't connect to any kind of logic that it's built upon, and then built fundamentally on an understanding that there is this thing called harm, and that you want to mitigate against harm. You want to create, if possible, a fail-safe environment. Just logically. You don't want a nuclear power plant that leaks radiation, because you logically understand that leaking radiation is a misfunction, a malfunction, not a good function, it's a negative function. That is manifested by energy matter when it is configured in a highly complex and unusual manner. Well, yeah, unusual doesn't really matter, but this highly complex thing sort of matters. But again, what's the point is that it's configured in a manner where we can do two things. We can think rationally, logically, and we can feel. So we are creating value by feeling. We're in value states that are positive and negative, good, bad. These are value words. It's written all over the experience. I'll testify in court, okay, that yes, I know they're dramatically different states. I think you can find out how dramatically different they are by picking up a hammer and a nail and maybe driving the nail into one of your testicles, and then compare that sensation to not driving a nail into one of your testicles. And it'll be obvious to you, I think, that the states of mind, the states of being are very different. They have a qualitative state that just basically screams into your awareness this idea that these two states of mind are very, very different. And they're got to be like one of the most profoundly different things in the universe. But anyway, let's continue. I mean, look, the fact is these subjectivists are basically negating the existence of the difference between pain and pleasure. They're saying there is no absolute difference, that we just make up the difference, that it's just a fantasy that we have, or a conditioning, or a bigotry, or a bias, or a prejudice, that it's not something that can be discerned through logic, based on personal experience of having knowledge of consciousness. That's what they're arguing. And that's pitiful in my opinion. It's just pitiful. I mean, it's like one of the biggest facts of reality is the fact that consciousness has qualitative states that it experiences. I mean, if you don't get that reality, if you don't recognize that that good feelings and bad feelings belong in different categories, if you can't figure that one out, that they actually do belong in different categories and they have fundamentally different properties, I don't think there's much point in having a brain. If energy matter is not configured in such a way as to enable this belief system, well, again, belief system based on what? Now, I believe, okay, in value because I personally experience conscious states. I can tell the difference between cupcake and nail in my testicle. It's not complicated. It's as fundamental to my functionality as anything else. I'm more certain that I don't want a nail in my goddamn testicle than I am certain that the world is round, to tell you the truth. I'm completely convinced I don't want a nail in my testicle. And it's not that I don't want it for some sort of irrational, silly reason, or a bigoted reason, or a prejudiced reason. I don't want it because I know it's not going to be good. It's going to be a bad thing. It's going to create negative, repulsive, horrid sensations, and those sensations should not be experienced if they can be avoided, and that's a fact. Those experiences should not be experienced if preventable. It's a fact. It's not a fantasy. It's a fucking fact. It's not a bigoted statement. It's not a prejudiced statement. It's a fucking fact. Anything could understand it except a psychotic, murdering, insane bastard. Nothing else sentient could miss that equation, could miss that math, except for assholes. Alright. Energy matter not going to manifested in the universe, then antagonist. Well, here, I don't know. Did I read this or not? If energy matter is not configured in such a way as to enable this belief system to be manifested in the universe, then antinatalism simply does not exist. Well, again, it doesn't change whether if again, we don't need witnesses to declare rape when it's happening wrong. The rape itself is creating the negative sensations, the unpleasantness, the tragedy, the horror, and we don't need any witnesses to verify it. And so when a baby is born into the world, you don't need an antinatalist to say it's wrong for it to be wrong. And it's going to be wrong because the value equation, the value math is going to indicate it's wrong. And it's not a fantasy or a bigotry or a prejudice or just some sort of erroneous or arbitrary determination. It's a rational determination, right, based on the factual reality that qualitative states exist in consciousness. They're easily identified as distinctly different states of being, and they're easily quantified as having substantial value difference. One you wish to prevent, and one you at least don't wish to prevent. You know, there's just no doubt about that. So again, this is stupid. We're not proofing anything. God. Annoying. Ergo, the belief system, again, what are you calling the belief system? Logic, the same logic I used to deduce the factuality of the existence of the evolutionary process, the same belief system, mechanism that I use to understand other complex mechanisms that create end products and to be able to evaluate the functionality. The same belief system I used to judge whether a car is efficiently using gasoline. Is there a prejudice or a subjective bias in that belief system? When I sit there and declare a car inefficient, am I applying a bias, or am I applying simple logical rules? Ergo, the belief system of antinatalism or any other belief system pertaining to ethics. So, at least to use the word ethics here. So any other system pertaining to ethics, for that matter, does not exist independently of the mind or minds that manufactured it. So we don't manufacture value by having experience, but we somehow judge value. So the experiences have no value, and our judgment somehow has the authority to create the illusion of value. You know, I think that's a silly way of perceiving what we are doing. And again, I don't see any point in these religious symbols. I don't buy any moral doctrine or dogma. So if this is a response to me, I take it pretty offensively, you fucking little cunt. I've made it clear I don't believe in a dogma. I've explained the origins of my belief in value, you stupid fuck. Okay, I've personally experienced conscious states. I understand them to be real, not fantasies, okay? They might be illusions created inside of a complex neural network, but the fact is they're real, like a hologram or some other thing. They're a real manifestation. My brain is in real configurations, and the sensation, as stated from my own testimony, okay? There's no doubt about it. Alright, I'm as certain of it as anything in the universe. I know I don't want you to drive a nail in my father's testicle. I know it matters whether he has a nail in his fucking testicle or not. Alright, and all this little game playing you're gonna goddamn do doesn't gonna change that fact. It's a fucking fact, you retard. Sentient beings experience, and as they experience, they generate value. fucking asshole. Alright. Anyway, does not exist independently of the mind. So again, he's saying the woman being raped isn't really going through a negative experience. Somebody's mind manufactured that. So when I sit there and witness the rape and say, oh, a bad thing is happening, I'm manufacturing a perception of bad. There is no actual bad. Because no sentient is really suffering. Because there's no difference between feeling good and feeling bad. Because these things don't exist. Fuck you. I mean, just fuck you. Too stupid. You know, I mean, you sit there and experience consciousness and then you say it doesn't exist. I mean, what am I supposed to say to that? I mean, it's just too... I mean, I can understand some asshole robot telling me, does not compute. What the fuck do you mean you feel? What the hell is that shit? What do you mean you feel bad? It sounds like a story to me. Now I can understand a robot saying that. But you're not a robot, asshole. You felt good, you felt bad. You're telling me that isn't real. The difference between feeling good and feeling bad isn't real. There is no real difference. Shit. So I don't even know what the fuck this crap is. NB, I don't know what that means. I endeavor never to tell human animals to abstain from procreation. Who the fuck is that? The gist of what I argue is procreation is ethically problematic if one is concerned with the amount of suffering that will occur between now and the extinction of our species. Well, again, if the concern for suffering, if I believe my concern for suffering was as arbitrary and as erroneous as the fact that I like the color blue, if I believe that that's how frivolous, erroneous, arbitrary, unfounded, silly my belief in suffering was, then I wouldn't be telling anybody it'd make any difference. Why the fuck would I suggest that, oh yeah, I'm going to go defend the idea that blue is better than red? I wouldn't do that because that would be idiotic. So obviously I have to believe it for more of a reason than some subjective preference or taste. This is not a food taste. This is not a sexual preference. This is a goddamn fact. Suffering isn't a fucking preference, shithead. If one exercises their mind in an intellectually honest manner. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Intellectually honest. So you're telling me it's intellectually honest for you to tell me that it's an intellectually honest statement to say you can't make any distinction between a nail in your testicle and no nail in your testicle. You can't label one of those conditions as being preferable and one of them being something to be discouraged or negative or to be prevented or to be stopped. You can't say that as that's an absolute fact. That in every circumstance, if your two choices are drive a nail into a testicle or not into a testicle, that there would be any, and you have no other biased reason to hate the testicle or wish the testicle harm, that there would be any rational reason why somebody wouldn't be able to clearly say, no, it's better not to have a nail in testicles. Yeah, I know that. I've heard about how bad that is. I mean, this isn't complicated. So anyway, so Conference Board left some dopey comment here. The statement that deprivation and suffering are always negative experiences is an analytic truth. I think that's what it says, yeah, analytic. Well, it's based on observation, that's for sure. But I'm just saying, I think it's elevated to a universal state, and is essentially qualified by there being no other rational conclusion. Every organism has been manipulated by this mechanism. Every sentient organism is being manipulated by this capacity to create something called repulsion to discourage acts. And so it's clearly that these repulsive experiences are intended to prevent action. They're clearly intended to create this idea of a negative force. Objective is usually applied to truths that are validated a posteriori. Well, it says you. I think objective just applies to a circumstance that is without bias, or a perspective that is as complete as possible. That would be the objective perspective, would be one that has no bias of circumstance, of a particular bias of point of view. The view is complete. So if a view is complete, and it isn't prejudiced by a lack of information, and it isn't prejudiced by a perversion of perspective, like just looking at the elephant's face, then it's objective. Shit. Is usually by there can be no analytic a priori or story truths. I don't even know what that means. I think of course there can. I mean, obviously you can analyze. All analysis creates more categories and properties, and so it's going to create new truths about what properties things fit into, what categories they fall into. And the category meaningful, yeah, sentience is going to fall into that category through analytic construction. Oh, whatever, same bullshit all over again. Man, this is stupid. I don't know why people do this. Why are you doing this? Are you got your head so far up Nietzsche's ass or something? What is it that drives you people to deny the existence of your consciousness? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I'm sitting here experiencing it, and you assholes are telling me I'm being fooled. There really is no difference between me being in horrid discomfort and me being happy and comfortable. That those two states don't have any absolute, factual, certain distinction. That they're actually the same thing. I mean, it's just fucking insane. It's a huge error. That's all I can say to you. You've made a huge error. You've missed the most matter-rich matter in the universe. The matter that matters. To play with words.